Well, this is John Black, super chemist, talking about the grooming rape gangs they have in the UK now. And this is GBN News.
Moving on now, let's discuss the further grooming gang scandal with the founder of the Oxford Institute for British Islam, and that's the Dr. Taj Hagi. Taj, welcome to the show. I wanted to speak to you today because in 2013, in the aftermath of the inquiry into the Oxford grooming scandal, you said some incredible things. You said that imams were promoting grooming rings, and you very clearly laid out, you felt that young British men were being poisoned by what they were being taught. Do you think that's still the case? And do you still think that's an opinion about what's happening in Britain right now?
Absolutely. I think there's an unholy alliance between religion and race. And what happened when I condemned this 12 years ago in Oxford with the Oxford grooming ring here is still continuing, because what is happening is that there's a perpetuation of them and us. The theology from the mosque, the theology from the elders and whatever, is to create this idea that there is them and us. With them you can do whatever you wish, because they're all going to hell anyway. So it doesn't really matter. So with these girls are so-called whatever, it's all fine. They're all not virgin, they're all immoral, they're all on drugs and drinks and so forth. So you can do whatever you please with them. But it's not just the criminality. The criminality is actually fueled by the ideology, and the ideology is about an Islamic fundamentalism that has no basis in the Quran. For example, the idea that wrongly held that Muhammad, the Prophet, slept with a 9-year-old girl. Prophet Muhammad could sleep with a 9-year-old. What's wrong with me sleeping with a 10, 11, 12-year-old? So there is this toxic.
And this guy is Muslim. Keep in mind. See, it's not about Muslims. It's about the nutjob Muslims that want Sharia law. And if you open your borders up and you let everyone in, just like in the United States, we opened the borders up. Now the cartels came in with the good people. And in the United States, you know what we did? We made it illegal for the cops to go into the sanctuary, these places where they have the illegal aliens, housed and that. Yeah, it's illegal. So they're stuck in there. They tried to get away from the cartels by coming to the United States, and we let the cartels come with them, and then we put them in a box, in a hotel with the cartels. And then if I mention this, I'm racist. You know what I mean? If this Muslim himself, mentions this, that you let he left, that oppression from the Shari army. Now the Shari army is coming over the border because they opened up the border and they don't vet anyone. And instead of us helping him, we call him a racist and we call me a racist, just like we do about the cartels. They're taking over the cities, the apartment buildings, the cartels. What do you think they're doing to the good illegal aliens that are inside those hotels, man? They're stuck in with the cartels with no police. What do you think? And I'm a bad person. No, you're a bad person if you can't admit what's happening, because then you're not helping. You can't fix the problem.
A further point you made was that you felt that these young Muslim men deliberately targeted vulnerable white girls because they appeared to be easy meat. They were effectively taught they were of a lower social standing, and therefore they deserve what they got.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not the only one who used the word easy meat, and Jack Straw, the former foreign secretary, also used that. The idea is that when you can delegitimize these youngsters as being less than human, as being less than equal to you, and for you to do whatever you please, that is the basis for these men to act like that. And I think there is this ideology, this religious interpretation of Islam that makes this possible. And for example, why is it that virtually every single person in this grooming gangs up and down the country, they're all Muslim? They may be 95% Pakistani, but all of them are Muslim. So we need to look at the interconnection between Islam as promoted by the clergy and by the establishment in the UK, and Islam that is actually not condoning this type of reprehensible behavior.
See, he's talking about the Shari army. They let in. That's what's funny. These people most of them are trying to get away from this oppression from the Sharia army, the Sharia law. And instead of the UK protecting them, they call him racist, even though he's a Muslim. They call me racist because I want to help the 90% of the good people that were Muslim to get away from the Sharia army. But these people that call me racist, they want the Sharia army to take over, because just like back in the 60s, even though everyone knew the mafia existed, the Italian mafia, the government was saying there was no mafia. The news was saying no mafia. It's crazy.
Taj, it would seem astonishing to people listening to this show that such ideas are being taught in Britain, and more to the point, if it's coming from imams, if it's coming from mosques, what needs to be done about that? I mean, this is an absolute outrage.
Absolutely. For example, every Friday when the congregational prayers are ended, up and down the country, the imam says we should condemn the disbelievers and the non-believers and all those who are not Muslim, and only Muslims are going to heaven. And so when you have that idea of superiority, of supremacy, of segregationism mentality, then yes, these people then go out and then do bad things to these young vulnerable teenage girls who most of them are in care, and they abuse them and use them as a chewing gum.
It's an astonishing thing to hear. They're effectively being tutored. They're being taught that they are superior. They have a free pass. They're clearly immoral behaviour by the law of British rule as being superseded by their own morality. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, they believe that they are alone going to heaven. For example, I met a Muslim man here in Oxford. He said that the Muslim rapist would go to heaven before a Christian person. Now, imagine that. I mean, I was just totally astounded that you could do this. Rape is an evil crime. It's a wicked thing, especially when you do this to young children. And I think we shouldn't give them a free pass. I think what's important is, yes, we should investigate the criminality of sexual grooming, rape gangs, but we should also look at the interlinkage between religion and criminality as far as Muslims are concerned. And once we do not address the toxic theology coming from the mosque and from the elders of the Muslim community, nothing much will change.
Dr. Hargy, may I ask you, with everything you just said, and with that, we've got live pictures now from the House of Commons, we're about to see, most likely, that the demand for an inquiry, a full national inquiry into Britain's shame, the rape gangs, will be voted down. With the benefit of your expertise, your knowledge, what you know is happening in British mosques, do you think we do need, desperately, an urgent inquiry into what's going on across towns, in particular, investigating these mosques?
Absolutely. I mean, we have over 50 towns, including Oxford, that's been where these rape grooming gangs have been operating. And unless we have inquiry now, yes, Sam, I listened to him today in Prime Minister's question. He's talking about a 7-year timeline. You don't need a 7-year timeline. You need to investigate just the idea of sexual grooming within these 50 towns or more, where Pakistani Muslims and others are the main perpetrators of these vile, dastardly crimes against young, vulnerable, innocent white British girls.
I'm absolutely lost for words. I'm staggered. Thank you very, very much for joining us. Wow. That's the founder of the Oxford Institute for British Islam, and that's Dr. Taj Hargy. What do you say to that? I'm absolutely just lost for words. Should there be a national inquiry into the grooming gang scandal? That's a question that we put to MPs later this afternoon. 2022. I'm looking through parliamentary answer just now in Parliament. The Windrush generation, there's a call for public inquiry there. Yes. And then the answer, Stephen Malhotra, the Justice Secretary, talks about appointing a Windrush commissioner to act as a voice independently for those affected. I just wonder whether that's where the government should be going towards, a kind of a voice for these victims in government. And let's just throw to a clip now earlier on, because Kemi Baylock did read out, as you said, joining the dots, the fact that you keep making, you made in your question, was that only 4 of the towns were mentioned in the J report. Six towns in the J report, but there are 44 that weren't. Correct. But Kemi Baylock today did do a kind of roll call of shame, if you like, of Labour MPs expected to vote against this. Let's listen to that now.
Later today, he will tell Labour MPs including in Telford, Rochdale, Bristol, Derby, Aylesbury, Oldham, Bradford, Peterborough, Coventry, Middlesbrough, Newcastle, Ramsgate, to tell all of these people to vote against a national inquiry into the gangs which have systematically gang raped children in their constituency.
Probably received the most backlash of them all and gave many people a very bad look.
This is the United States right now.
I mean, they're actually laughing and cheering for this, standing by and recording it as if they are doing something good. Why are they flying the Mexican flag if they want to stay in the United States? It almost seems like they want to take over the U.S. instead of become a part of it. Here is yet another example of unlawful protest behavior that is causing these illegal immigrants backlash.
These are illegal aliens here. That woman's got to be scared to death in that car. She's on her car.
Oh, sorry. There's so much trans hate in the world right now, and I'm so done with it. And pride just means that we are unabashedly happy just to be alive.
Yeah. Anna, where do you personally feel that hate is coming from?
Most places, but especially the government.
Anna, in your own life, where would you say that you feel the hate the most?
I feel like I kind of internalize a lot of the hate, so it feels like it mostly comes from myself at this point because...
Who's in charge of the LA Fire Department? Kristen Crowley. She's the first LGBTQ fire chief. She makes almost $500K and went to Harvard Business School. Christina Kepner, first lesbian assistant chief to the LA Fire Department. Harvard Kennedy School for managing diverse organizations. I don't know, they teach you how to put out a fire at Harvard? The Harvard Firefighting School? And then we have Christine Larson, LA Fire Department's first lesbian equity bureau chief. $400K a year, and they're focused on everything except for putting out fires and fire readiness. Yeah. Unfortunately, it feels good to include everyone, and you're the fire chief. You're the best. You're the assistant. We're wearing the outfits. We can do it. Let the white guys out. We want to change everything. We're in charge now. And then the city burns, and no one. There's no water in the fire hydrant.
Do you need to go to the Harvard School of Management to figure out you need water?
You want to see somebody that responds to your house, your emergency, whether it's a medical call or a fire call, that looks like you. It gives that person a little bit more ease, knowing that somebody might understand their situation better. Is she strong enough to do this? Or, you couldn't carry my husband out of a fire. Which my response is, he got himself in the wrong place if I have to carry him out of a fire.
It's so funny the way they say only 5% of women are firefighters at the end, like that's a bad thing. When this Muppet just admitted she couldn't carry a man out of the house.
You don't make enough to provide for us anymore, so we have to get out there in the workforce.
Because you voted for laws that give the jobs to you instead of to us. You know that, right? You have to know about this, right? Women have been saying for decades, they've been saying, we get 77 cents on a... Women want to get paid equal. They don't want to work equal. They just want to get paid equal.
Doesn't even make sense, really.
So they went to the government and they voted for the government to make things equal. And now that things are equal, women have raised their standards and they're saying men can't provide anymore. The government takes money from men and gives it to corporations if they meet diversity quotas. So we are being